Hey there, welcome to Light Guided. Lisa Kay here with an energy update for the time period of about mid-July through August. Sorry that the readings are late, but I'm glad to be with you now. So we're going to be looking at the collective energies as they relate to career, vocation, work in general for the collective. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the overarching energy. It's the overarching energy here. Energy of blessings. Wow. I'm immediately seeing that for some of you, you're kind of in this huge transformation within your workspace, career space. There is kind of a, how would I say, like a leap of faith energy here. Some of you are really just ready in a very positive way. This energy is very supportive. Some of you are just ready to move into that the next thing. And I'm seeing for a lot of you that next thing is way less traditional than maybe what you've been doing. And how I would describe that is like, and I don't just mean like a traditional type of job, but I'm talking about the routine of the job. It's a 9 to 5. You punch in, you punch out, you get so much money. There's like this quality of moving away from that paradigm and really moving into more of an energetic flow within your career space. Having more free time, having more time to create, having more space to expand into other things. I'm seeing this actually globally for this collective as just kind of an overall shift in perspective occurring. Whether you're conscious of that shift in this moment or not, this may be, you may be at the beginning of recognizing this shift for yourself during this time period. For some of you, this could also be, for example, like retirement. Maybe you've been working a traditional job for most of your adult life, and now you're getting ready to retire. And there's just this energy of freedom, this energy of kind of excitement about, what's on the horizon. There's a very small subset of you here where you're actually in the vibe of feeling discontent with your current work, primarily because you feel undervalued. You feel like the place of employment is not, they're not paying you fairly. They're not recognizing your talents. They're not helping you to expand and grow. And so for some of you, you may be thinking about, ways to expand your skills, expand your marketability, if you will. And that may drive decisions down the road about different career paths or different actual jobs, from where you work now. Nice. Yeah, for those of you where you're more in the energy, like where you're feeling kind of stuck in your current career space, either because you feel undervalued or underpaid, there's quite a bit of resistance building up in your energy about that. I would even describe some of this as resentment. There's a little bit of resentment energy here. And the challenge that's coming up for you energetically is that while you're sitting in that energy or vibration of resentment, it's not allowing you to see what's ahead. It's not allowing you to see what could be on the horizon for you because you're stuck in that energy of, resentment and resistance. Let me see what happens if you're able to move out of that space, out of the frustration, out of the anger and the, whatever around feeling undervalued. What happens then? What shifts if you're able to move that? Yeah, clarity. So if you are able to move into a different perspective around this, rather than feeling undervalued, but kind of looking at how is that feeling or that experience trying to propel you forward, it then actually opens up your intuition. It opens up your ability to think about next steps and be available. I'm not necessarily seeing that you're going to have a change of career here right at this time, but stepping out of that energy of resistance, resentment, it does start to bring in more intuitive clarity for you, and that feels like an important part of your process right now. Just looking at the energy here, for those of you that this piece of the story resonates with, like what happens, if you're able to move out of the resentment, out of the resistance, like, and you step into this clarity, what's on the other side of that for you? And I pulled the well-being energy, and I just see this as an energy of kind of landing softly into your next situation. But I'm also seeing attached to that, there's the energy of fear a little bit. Whatever this next situation could be for you, it feels very different than the current path that you're on. And you may have some fear and anxiety about, will this new way of being support me? Can I earn the money that I need to support my life? And Spirit's just giving me this strong impression about, like, try not to get too wrapped up in the minutia of those details right now. It's more of an energetic repatterning that's an important part of your process. And you don't have to figure out how you're going to make a living, at this moment in time, how you're going to make a living later if you make a change in this current career, current work space that you're in. They are showing me some energy here around healing, around, being a healer, around bringing that vibration into the world. And again, it's just a little bit sticky because there's some kind of belief here about, well, I can't fully embrace this healing part of my gifts or my expression because I probably won't be able to make a living at it. So you can see there's some incongruence in that energy. And, what Spirit is showing you here is that there's this opportunity to move into a new vibration, into a new energy, and out of the, kind of out of the mind of the doer, right? Out of the mind of I have to figure it all out. I have to know all the answers before I can make a change. Nothing wrong with that energy, right? But it's a vibration of survival. And in that environment, it becomes very acidic, if you will, as a metaphor, for your creativity. So it doesn't let your creativity really flourish when you're in that space. And this is a process of clearing those blocks out so that you can be more in alignment and let the energy start flowing. And once the energy starts flowing, the answers start getting more clear to you as well. Okay. We also have this energy of finding. I feel like this is a subset of you in this collective. There are a subset of you in this collective related to this energy of career, work, and vocation who, a couple of you at least, I would say it's a pretty small subset. But some of you have really found the thing that's working for you. It's like you're a little nervous. I can see this energy of looking over your shoulder a little bit. But for the most part, you have found what works for you, and you're continuing to move down this path of being in alignment. If I had to look at this energy progressively, I would kind of say this energy that I was describing about, individual who might be in a job they don't like, there's resistance, etc., kind of supporting the space of just moving into flow. This is what comes after that. You've just been in that place of resistance. You've just been in that place of resentment not that long ago, and you are now beginning to experience the joy of your decision to shift gears. you're beginning to be in a vibration that is just more in alignment. And again, I do get that impression about like looking over your shoulder quite a bit. So what would it take to get more freedom around that? What do you need to get more freedom around that? Oh, wow. Wow. That's a powerful vibration. So this is the energy of talent. Getting more freedom, you know, you're already in the space of being more in alignment, and Spirit is saying, I think this applies to this, whoever this group is as well, but the more you just lean into your talent, the more you just lean into the gifts, the more you just lean into the thing that you want to be doing, the more it just continues to unfold and align. Again, it's not being in this doer energy of trying to make it happen, trying to force it to happen, trying to figure it all out. You're just in the energy of doing the thing that you do, the thing that you love, the thing that works for you, and all the other pieces start to unfold. Let's see if there's timelines here for this energy. I see also, I didn't get a timeline here. We'll come back to that, but I'm seeing also for you, the ones who are resonating with this vibration of kind of, you know, being in your alignment, leaning more into your talent. It looks like there are some family issues going on for some of you on a couple of different levels. So actually, I'm hearing this message applies to everybody in the collective in just different ways. So take what resonates, leave the rest behind. Some of you are working through familial patterns of thinking about work, whether that's like, you know, I have to have a traditional job. It's got to be, 9 to 5. I've got to make a certain amount of money. It's got to look a certain way. So there's sort of this familial patterning for some of you. For others of you, it looks like there are family members in your periphery that are, it looks like demanding a lot of your time, and it's taking away from some of this inner alignment that you're feeling. It's kind of serving in a way like a distraction, and it's allowing you to kind of feel a little bit resentful here around that. And then finally, this third energy coming out of this is around current work environments. And I was talking about, for some of you wanting to leave a current work environment, or trying to figure out how to do that. And I'm just seeing there are elements in that workplace that are very akin to your family dynamic. And it might be triggering some of those old feelings that you've had about your role in the family, about feeling powerless, or whatever that is for you. And it may be in some workspaces, you may be having some of that come out in a way that's kind of toxic. So you might just be looking at all of those elements right now for yourself. And then we have this beautiful love energy. Let me get a clarifier on that. That didn't help. Love and strength. I'm seeing here for some of you, if you work in this space as a spiritual healer or a reader, or kind of tuned into that vibration for yourself, either that's a direction that you're going, or that's an environment that you live in now, like that is work that you're doing now. There's a message here about, this is true, actually this applies to for many of you across the board as well, but specifically for this group who are kind of in that quote unquote spiritual space. This is about work. There's a part of the work that's becoming so routine and so normalized or methodical that it doesn't feel fulfilling anymore. And you're kind of trying to figure out, what's the next fulfilling thing? Like, how do I be in this vibration of this thing? Like, it's like you're outgrowing some of what you've been doing, and you're kind of in this space of questioning, like, well, where do I go from here? And if you've been in that world for quite some time, you may also be a little bit concerned or considering, do I go back to a more traditional setting? Do I go back to a traditional job so I have that stable money? But there's something about the luster of the work, like something, when you're in this space as a spiritual practitioner, whatever that looks like for you, whether you're a healer or a reader or whatever, you're still tied into the energy of, oh, I have to make a living at this. And that's the vibration that sort of sucks the life out of the quality and the excitement that you used to feel about doing this kind of work. It's just now become kind of routine and mundane. There is an energy here of big shift. This energy is very akin to the first energy that came out. Transformation. Some of you are going through some big transformational energy as it relates to your career. I'll guess that some of this may overlap in the spiritual growth reading that often happens across these monthly readings. But the other message I'm getting here is also like, let's see, I want to give you a good metaphor to explain this. You might be, this might connect for some of you, like, let's say you scratch yourself on the leg, right? And you have an ouchie on your leg and you put a Band-Aid on it. And the next day you notice like, the Band-Aid doesn't fit right, or it's, kind of dirty or whatever. So instead of taking off that Band-Aid and putting a clean one on, you just put another Band-Aid over the old Band-Aid. And then you do it again and again and again. And it's like, for some of you in your career space, you're kind of mired in that energy where you keep putting Band-Aids on top of things. And they're also saying there's a nuance here for some of you. It's not just a Band-Aid, but it's also like, I'll just take on one more thing. I'll just do one more thing. I'll just learn one more tool. I'll just, take on one more project or take on one more client, or, it's like you keep adding to the mix rather than giving yourself space and time to really sit with the energy, watch the energy, see how it unfolds and settles out. So you're kind of unintentionally filling your space up with like busy, it's almost like busy energy. And that busy energy is keeping you from really having more clarity about this energetic alignment that you're seeking in your career space right now. I love this card. Good luck. That's that's a heavy energy for some of you. I feel like there's a little bit underneath the surface for some of you. It's a little bit like a rebellious energy, like whatever's happening in your career space, it kind of triggers this rebellious energy. And I think that's coming forward as kind of a cautionary tale, like be mindful when you're in the energy of being rebellious, because you may inadvertently piss people off or say the wrong thing or do something that puts you in a bad light. And you don't need that. Like, you don't need to be in a bad light. I see you're actually like you're an ethical hard worker. You're committed to what you do. You really are committed to doing a good job. But if you get a little resentful and a little rebellious, you may inadvertently say or do something that could affect the way others see you. Now, I will say this, it's kind of an interesting message coming through here. My general beliefs is that are that we're never not on the right path. There are no mistakes. We're always doing and moving forward in a way that's for our growth and our learning, right? That's part of what it is to be human and a spirit in human form. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you happen to find yourself in a situation of like being rebellious and the boss says, hey, you can't act that way and you're fired, like somehow, even in that vibration here, it's like, that's okay, because it's going to propel you forward into the next energy. So if that happens to be your circumstance, I think there's just an invitation here to be patient and give yourself a little grace in the process, and to recognize that, on some level, consciously or unconsciously, you're just trying to take care of yourself. You're just trying to help move yourself along into the next vibration. It's an interesting energy. Animal spirits, animal instinct. This is an interesting energy too. So let me start with this energy, this protection energy. I'm seeing for some of you, at least a few of you in this collective who might be viewing these videos are connecting in with careers or work related to the planet. I'm seeing this in two different ways. I'm seeing this like really concrete, like I was talking about this dichotomy between traditional and non-traditional work. So that theme is still coming up. There's some of you who have a very traditional view about like environmental sustainability, environmental studies. Some of you, I actually see a couple of you work in this field directly or indirectly, where you may be stewards of some kind of environmental program, some kind of, something about helping the planet. There was a second message there, but it's kind of slipped out of my mind for a moment. So let's see if it comes back. And this energy is really interesting to me. We've got this woman, she's got the peace dove here. I think this is an owl or a cat. A couple cats and a wolf here. Really seeing this energy of the wolf in particular. This is like you completely surrendering. And I'm seeing this is, for some of you, this is fully supported by spirit. Like I'm seeing you just completely surrendering and like, it's like throwing caution to the wind and just letting that vibration, that big dream that you have, that big vision that you have, letting that carry, letting the momentum of that dream, of that vision, just move you into the next place, and without regret, without concern, without fear, without, anxiety about how am I going to make a living, all of those kinds of things. And this message is not coming back, so we'll just move on. This justice energy. At a soul level, for many of you, at a soul level, like whatever's happening in your career, work, and vocational space right now, there's definitely this overarching vibration of like, I must do good in the world. Whatever I do in my work, in my role, in my life, it has to be doing good in the world. It has to be contributing to the planet, to healing. That's the message that's coming back, actually. So whether or not you're doing something very traditional in the space of sustainability or in any of this work, there's also a spiritual layer that happens here as well. So you may not work in the space of sustainability in your traditional job, but maybe it's a value that you hold, a vibration that you hold, that you have this incredible love for the planet, and that vibration just aligns you, I'm going to say, to your vocation. It aligns you to your vocation in a unique way. Yeah, and I also see for some of you that there's an element here of just balance. This could be balance between, different ways of making a living at the same time. Like maybe you have a part-time job at Starbucks or whatever, you have a part-time job, and then maybe you also do healing on the side. But finding that balance that works just right for you, a balance that allows you to feel nourished by the work that you're doing, and feeling also that it's contributing something positive, not only to the world, but to yourself, right? If it's not contributing something positive to you, then it may not be the right vocation for you. We have the energy of home. Yeah, this is coming back to the energy of those paradigm shifts, big paradigm shifts for a couple of you. And I am seeing for some of you that you may have gone through a huge shift, like in the 3D, where you lost your job or you gave up your job and you had to relocate. Some of that energy is here. And underneath the surface, there's definitely a lot of, I like to call it navel gazing, like these existential kind of questions about, what are all the stories I tell myself about the kind of work I'm supposed to do, and how am I supposed to contribute to society while still trying to like take care of myself and maintain my bills and, all the things. Let's go ahead and look for any final messages from Spirit. Any final messages? Peace. New beginnings. So just like affirmations at this point. Inspiration. Final messages. Whatever happens in your space of vocation, career, work, really the balance point is about you having peace with whatever it is. And if you can't, you may be in a job that you can't leave right now. So how can you cultivate peace for yourself while you are there? You may have a circumstance where you want to, take a leap of faith, but you're just not positioned to do that right now. How can you find peace in the process? I'm also seeing that for some of you, this message about, there's two messages. One is that you're an inspiration to others simply by the fact that you're here in human form at this time. Like that in and of itself is a miracle, that any of us are here, that I'm filming a reading and sharing these thoughts with you. I mean, all of it is kind of a miracle, right? So some of you may need to adjust what your perception is about what it means to be an impact or an influence or an inspiration in the world. You're already an inspiration. And how can you just, lean into that and embrace that idea more, so that you can be fully self-expressed. And then finally, again, like this new beginnings energy. Interesting. Sorry, I got a little distracted. There's an energy connected to this card related to this particular video. And it's just what happens when you're intuitive and psychic. Sometimes energy just comes in and it's sort of weird, but I'm seeing like new people watching this video that haven't been part of my channel before. And I'm picking up that energy. So new people, watching this content. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Other new beginning energy. There's one more element here. This is going to be for a couple of you, related to your next step and where things are evolving for you. Regardless of what career or work you're currently in, you may be having some inspiration around writing a new chapter. This could be metaphoric, writing a new chapter of your life. But for most of you who this resonates with, it's actually more concrete than that. And this is about starting to put into writing a story. Either the story that you're creating for yourself, like the new story, or it may be, I'm also seeing this like a teaching, like creating something that you're teaching people about something that helps them through some of these things that we're talking about now. It helps people like establish and assess and determine their vocation and so forth. All right. Yeah, and look at that. Financial health. I feel like this as a final card, as a final energy here, it lands for me as kind of the messages that were coming up before. Like, it's not to say we shouldn't be practical and we shouldn't plan and we shouldn't prepare. That's not it at all. But it's just to say that our financial well-being, we have a certain story about it. We have a certain story about what it means to build, our financial success or our financial well-being. And I feel like everything in this reading today is kind of challenging that. It's all about challenging these paradigms. And not to sound too woo-woo about it, but the vibration here is very much about like, in your space, hold the vibration for abundance. Hold the vibrations for financial health and well-being. Even if you're dealing with all these other things, hold the vibration. What does that look like to have financial health and well-being? And can you keep that, vibration alive in your space, even as you're navigating all of these other changes. I feel like that's an important message for some of you, to hold that in your vibration as you're navigating all this. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to close out the reading. I got this beautiful new deck called the Rumi Oracle, and it is a little esoteric, but I happen to really like Rumi. So I'm going to pull a card. I'm just going to read the Rumi poem out of the book as a closing final message. Again, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. Beautiful. Wow, look at that. Transformation energy. Sacred Phoenix Heart. Let's see what this says. I won't read the entire thing. It's a couple pages, but I will read the original poem and then any insights that it has. Okay, Sacred Phoenix Heart. Under the cover of blood, love veils many rose gardens. In total faith, love tenderly guides every lover to the garden of the heart. Reason says, the world is limited in 6 directions. There is no way out. Love says, there is a way, and I have traveled it many times. That really speaks to me about that traditional and non-traditional vocation energy. I'm going to read a little bit of this intro here as well. It says, how I adore your defiant, rebellious heart. It knows that what for the mind is an end is for the heart simply another match to ignite the sacred flames. It eats of love until it's filled, and then becomes hungry again and eats some more, and again and again. It eats of love until it's so full it must simply explode into a sacred fire of passion. It bursts, incapable of sustaining old consciousness in the expanse of blessings unlimited, lavished upon it through the great beloved's affection. It would be like attempting to fit an ocean into a teacup. So it does not. It bursts forth like a dying star into spectacular radiance, only to be reborn again, new and hungry for the next feeding frenzy in love's great banquet. How I adore your defiant, spectacular heart. Take it as it resonates, leave the rest behind. I will close the reading here, and thank you so much for stopping by. If this message resonated, please feel free to like, share, or subscribe to this channel. And absolutely feel free to check out any of the other readings for this time period, July through August. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Be well.